Hi, second one today. I showed the line and wash of Watergate Bay, the drawing of which I did over 2 weeks ago from memory. This is a photograph I took of the other side of that bay. I'll just zoom into it. These are on my computer, but I can't be bothered to. Well, it's I'm uploading the other one at the moment. This is looking. I suppose it's more north of, looking southwest. The distance on the right here. This is Newquay, going off to Fistral Beach at the back of it. A lot of rock spills, rock falls in these cliffs here, but at low tide there's a massive, wonderful sandy beach. It's very famous for surfing. So I'm going to do a quick, if I can, a quick line and wash. I've got some black ink here, and I'm just going to show you. Come back to there. I've put a little bit of water in with the waterproof ink just to dilute it a little bit. So I'm going to just rough in a sort of a drawing of what we've got here. Come down to the beach, and you've got the headland coming down here. You've got the beach along there. We've got another island coming across there, and then beyond that you've got the town of Newquay. It's all going up here. Let's just let that back down a bit. So this is all Newquay Harbour. It's like a small fishing place. Though Newquay's a big town, built on the holiday trade now. There's very little industry in Cornwall that I can see. So we've got this, it's all cliffy around here. And then we've got various I'm going to try to do sort of an impression of some of this shale, scree. It's all very loose stones. Some large boulders in with it. Round about here, here there was a cave. I don't know whether it was a part of a mine shaft or entrance to a mine. There's a lot of tin mining went on in Cornwall. So, and all sort of ins and outs, various sort of bays around here. And we've got these great big, I can only just do an approximate. All these different shapes and big ones going up. What I'll do when I'm going to paint these, I'll go in with some dark colour, and I'll use a card and scratch and paint out to show all this. We've got loads of figures in there, all surfing and playing in the water. Be a low tide. So that's there. And some bits of rock and pebble. And when you do this, have a jar of water that's separate from your painting water. Otherwise, the black ink will ruin it. You'll have to change it, but you don't really want to do that when you're making a video. So big rocks here. shadow. Right, let's add in for lighting. So that's a basic drawing. That's got a bit too heavy, but considering the degree of difficulty of doing something like this as a demonstration, I'll give that a dry. It was my intention to do quite a bit of drawing, ink drawing, but with family it was impossible to do. The sun is coming across here and moving all the way around to set in the west over the horizon. We saw the most fabulous sunsets every day. Right, wet the paper all over. It's a line, it's a wet in wet painting. The paper I'm using is Fabriano. It's £130 weight. To buy it from Art Discount, Granthams. They do blocks of 100. It's very economical. And it's good for wet in wet. But it's quite a smooth surface compared to something like Bockenford Rough or Archers. But very good for this and very inexpensive. You get about £31–32, you get 100 sheets, 15 inches by 11. So we'll put in a bit of a sky here. My usual palette, there we are. Lemon yellow, raw sienna, alizarin crimson, light red, ultramarine, burnt umber, Payne's grey and burnt sienna, which I might or might not use. But I want to keep the colours simple. You don't have to use my colours. You use whatever you think is appropriate for your level of ability or choice. It's purely a subjective thing. There are hundreds of colours to choose from, but the idea is keep it simple. If you put a lot of colours out, you feel obliged to use a lot of colours, and in the end you end up with complication and mud. So keep it simple. Right, so not too much water there. Right, so we'll put in a bit of, we'll show perhaps a sky overhead with sunlight in. So clean raw sienna. Down there. So you'll see that's dry already now. And we'll a bit of cloud, Payne's grey, ultramarine, bit of alizarin. Don't want too much heavy paint coming from behind these cliffs. I don't want I want a contrast there. Now I can put a bit of blue in, but quite weak. Coming down here. Now I can go a bit heavier overhead. There were lots of streaky skies, and I explained on the previous video that every sky that I've ever painted went over this part of Cornwall. Various times of the day, great big cumulus skies, streaky skies, red skies, utterly beautiful. Where I live in suburbia, in London suburbia, we don't see horizons. On my horizon are rooftops. We don't see a really good setting sun. Let's just get that clean there. Right, I'll give that a bit of a dry, then I'll do some cliffs. So I could put the sun here, but it'd be in the wrong place. Because I know that the sun comes from behind these cliffs and goes around and down to this area here. And the sun would be there, it would be going up, but it'd be overhead. Right, let's put in some, start these silhouetted rocks. A bit, quite warm, so I use a bit of burnt umber in here and then. Bit of blue. And darker. Warm. No great detail. Let's just wash that out a little bit for this here. I'll put the distance in afterwards. Okay, so that's a little bit of that. Right, let's clean that with a brush, and I'll drop in some raw sienna over that, because there's a lot of sand and stuff in there. Right, so I can do some scratching and scraping in. So dark green, so blue, sorry, Payne's grey, lemon yellow and blue burnt umber. Really dark here. So get some blue into there, and this is really heavy in here. Trying to show the shapes of some of this rock here. Now there's a good bit of coming over the into the tops of these rocks, which are light. Okay. Now the dark shadow part of this cliff here is in there. We'll just show those areas of cliff, the indentations, and then a bit of dark on here. Just in that. I hope that'll bleed in. Just drag that down. Hasn't blended as much as I'd hoped, so let's just add a bit of water to it and hopefully it'll move. Okay, we'll see what happens there. Right, now with more colour, so burnt umber and blue, and leaving some of this, let's just dab it in, sienna. This I'm totally guessing on. I'm bodging it. So I want that wet, and I want to go in with my shadow side with the card in a minute. Of course I don't know where the card is. Actually, there it is. So we can put some rocks coming here. Don't forget they've got the shadow sides of these. Right, let's have a go with the try to do this in the direction of the rocks, the way the strata is showing. Just trying to create an impression of it's dried off a bit really, but never mind. Right, that's all it's going to let me do at the moment. I'll give it a bit of a dry. You can always lift out when it's dry. Dry. If you're listening on headphones, take them off now. A good colour for, you put your headphones back on, a good colour for a beach is burnt umber and a bit of alizarin. The lights are here, it's going across here. I'm going to put some bit of sky in there. Some reflections, just showing this now. Getting more warmer, bit of alizarin crimson in there as we come across into this. And there's quite a bit of crimson in there. The more rocks than I've shown, but can't do them all. And let's go in with the umber. Just fill it all in. Not very happy doing dry brush on this. I'll show a bit of shadow in this. So a bit of light red, a bit of ultra. Showing the sun behind these cliffs casting a shadow. Right, it's almost dry, so let's, I'll bring my brush up, dry it off, to use another cloth, give it some points, and then we can just put in some of these pebblies. Quite a lot here. Right, that'll do. Bit of sea now. Now the sea was quite light, that I can see from the photograph. So we'll just put a slight touch of blue in that. And we'll carry that blue in through there to show some puddles, rock pools and things. And I want to put in a bit of a background there, so we'll have a bluey background, just to show the distance in this bit of the landscape here, just very faint. Right, okay. With my flat, I can find it. There it is. I've got an inch flat brush here, nylon. It's mostly for acrylic, but it does other things. Let's see if we can just scrape out, lift out some of this light here. I could resort to gouache, but this is catching the light as the sun's coming over the cliffs. Right, I'm going to let this be go. I'm going to dry the water over the beach. So there is a degree of difficulty in painting more or less upright. The water just, with gravity, just falls down. I'm going to put in some little figures with my rigger. Just a darkish sort of colour. They're very tiny, because that's all they would be, this distance. I mean, you get thousands of people on this beach. A nice day. Surfing, kite surfing, windsurfing. Fantastic beach. A bit of red. Most of the swimmers, surfers have got wetsuits on, so they'll be dark anyway. It's too cold, the temperature for skinny dipping. Okay, that just gives a bit of scale. Of course you get lots of seagulls. I'll sign it. I don't think it's particularly good, but it's going to take a while to get my sea legs after being away for a couple of weeks. Right, let's. There's the photograph, and I've done a very quick, rough impression of it. The shape's more or less there. This is a bit murky, but never mind. And we know why. It's done too quick, and we will improve. I need to put a bit of tape on the picture, and then I'll put a mount on it. Take the clips off. Well, there we are, a quick impression of Watergate Bay looking towards Newquay, West Penshire. I don't think that's too bad. But you'll be the judge of that. I'll bring the camera around a bit so that we're more or less square on. Right, now we'll have a little look around the picture. So these are my slaty rocks and scree. Sorry about the creek. So there we come across to Newquay and beyond. Figures on the beach. The figures are very important. They're very easy to do, but they give scale. You can tell how big the landscape is by comparison to something you know. Oops, we don't want to go any further than that. So there we are. So that's an impression of Newquay. Line and wash. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.